everybody. Welcome to Our Dinner is Done. If this is your first time here, welcome to our channel. If not, welcome back. Today we are going to be making a mini holiday feast in honor of Thanksgiving tomorrow. Since, people are going to be home for the holidays, hopefully staying safe and keeping their holiday celebrations small and with people in their immediate families and in their households. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be just making a little mini feast. Normally we host.
Little mini Thanksgiving.
Typically we host a good amount of people, but since things are different this year, we're not going to be doing that. So it's going to be us, and we're just going to be making some of the things that we like to eat on Thanksgiving. Neither one of us are actually really too big onto turkey.
It's good, but I feel like at Thanksgiving nobody loves the turkey. They love the sides.
They love the sides, yeah. So this is going to be all about the sides. Excuse me, I just ate a little bit of potato. We already pre-boiled our potatoes for our garlic mashed potatoes that we're going to be making. But we're going to be making some turkey breast, garlic mash. I am going to be making a mushroom and chorizo dressing. So if you don't know, dressing is what you make outside of the turkey or outside of the bird, and stuffing is what you make inside the bird. We don't usually make it inside the bird. I just don't prefer it that way. And I do it really super easily because I use stovetop. I love this stuff. Why reinvent the wheel when you could kind of do it pretty easy with something that comes in a box? But I doctor it up. I make it my own. I add chorizo. In our case, we're using chicken chorizo because we don't eat pork. But if you want pork, go for it. It gives it a great flavor. I used to use that when I didn't eat pork. But we're going to use some mushrooms, some chicken chorizo, and then we're going to make that our dressing. And then we're going to make some oven roasted carrots. So we're just going to make some different kind of sides tonight. And we're going to prepare everything tonight so we don't have to cook tomorrow. And we can enjoy it and relax. And hopefully just have a nice, easygoing day.
Brussels sprouts, good.
Oh, all right. And now he's throwing in some Brussels sprouts at the last minute. We're going to throw those in the air fryer, aren't we? Yeah, so that's really easy. We just kind of coat them up and throw them in there and don't even have to worry about them. But before we start anything, let's just preface by saying that we are not doing a full large turkey tonight. We are using a small turkey breast, and we've been cooking it already for the last, I would say, 2 hours? Almost 2 hours. We wanted to be able to show you what the finished product was going to look like, so if we started putting that in before, we'd be here all night. So we're just using a small turkey breast that's going to be enough for the two of us, and maybe for some to-go packages for some family members. But we're just using small turkey breast since we're not huge on the turkey.
Yeah.
And so that's in there right now, and it's cooking. All we did to this turkey breast is season it with some salt, pepper, some garlic powder, and a little bit of butter, right?
A little butter, a little olive oil.
A little butter and a little olive oil. So we just really kind of made it simple, but you really want the flavor from the turkey itself. Sorry, I wanted to check the chat here. I forgot to say hello. So if anybody's in the chat, you can give us a hey there and say hello. And if you have any questions along the way, just let us know. But we're going to be cooking. So we have our turkey already in the oven. This is a small turkey. It was only about 4.5 pounds. It's a little turkey breast.
Just the breast.
So it's really tiny. We also already boiled our little Yukon Golds, little mini potatoes. If you're going to make a mashed potato, you want to use like a russet potato or a Yukon Gold, something that mashes well. We left the skin on these. We cut them in half since they were little. We cut them in half and boiled them in some water.
Pro tip, make sure the water is cold. Put your potatoes in and bring it up to a boil with the potatoes in the water. Because if you have boiling water and you toss the potatoes into the boiling water, the potatoes are going to cook unevenly because the skin, the outside part, is going to cook faster than the middle, and you don't want that to happen. And you end up with hard, raw inside potatoes, and that's just gross.
So you just want to make sure that the water's cold, bring up the temp with the potatoes in it, and then you're good to go to start making your mash. So these potatoes here, we make garlic mash. So that's what I'm going to show them what to do
first.
Oh yeah, so you can put that in there.
Because we're gonna roast this head of garlic, and when you roast garlic versus sautéing it, it has a completely different flavor, a much sweeter flavor, a much more mild flavor, and it's really, really creamy and delicious in mashed potatoes because it will become like almost spreadable. It's actually really good on bread too. So this is gonna be just a nice little tip for you as well if you've never done this. It's very simple to do. I'm just going to have you cut off the top and show them while I get some aluminum foil.
And I was just peeling some carrots just to get ahead on that. So we have a whole clove of garlic and I'm just going to cut the top off just so that I can see the insides.
Yeah, just so that you can see the garlic cloves exposed. But you want to make sure that that root hair, you don't cut off that end. You want that end because you want it to stay together. Yeah.
And now, boom, you get this beautiful garlic. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so
I love when you do this.
Yeah, so this is really, really pretty, just in itself, too. So you're going to chop the top off so that you can see the garlic inside, okay? You're going to put it into a piece of aluminum foil like this that's going to cover the whole thing. So before you throw it in the oven, you are just going to put a little bit of olive oil on the top, okay? It's okay if it kind of drips over the side. Perfect, just like that. And you're going to close the aluminum foil. You don't have to do it super tight. Close it up and throw it right into the oven on the rack, okay? It takes a little while for it to roast, so we're just going to throw it in now and keep it in there and let it ride it out with the turkey while we do all the other foods.
Yeah, it'll be the last thing we add.
It's the last thing we take out of the oven.
Once your potatoes are boiled,
it's really easy. So our potatoes are already boiled. We did a little bit of prep here. Oh, I don't know what happened there. We did a little bit of prep here so that, there you go. We're good. Perfect. We did a little prep here so that we wouldn't be cooking all night on the stream. We wanted to kind of streamline some of what we're doing.
And
so
I think
oven's going to...
when you're making Thanksgiving dinner, prepping as much as you can the night before is huge.
It's huge, yeah.
Because I mean, if you're roasting a whole turkey, you're gonna need to put it in
hours and hours.
First thing in the morning. So to have a little bit less off your plate, you boil the potatoes the night before. They're not gonna go bad in the day. Make the stuffing the day before, not gonna go bad.
Oh, the stuffing I love to make the night before. Actually,
I feel like it tastes better.
It does. Anyway. It does taste better. So we usually do that first. So I'm gonna say hey to everybody in the chat. I see Mark. Hey Mark, thanks for subscribing. It says Mark subscribed to tier 1, so thanks. Cool.
Cool. I didn't know we had tiers.
Yeah.
But you're definitely a tier 1 kind of guy.
Yeah. And Grace, welcome. You could definitely make these carrots, Grace, and you can make the mashed potatoes, and you could even make the stuffing just minus the chorizo if you don't want it in there, because that would make it vegetarian. Although I don't know if you could eat it because it has bread and carbs and things like that.
But the carrots, I think you could.
Carrots you could totally
once
do.
I get to this.
And I think you could eat. I think you could have the potatoes too. But either way.
There's garlic, but just minus the garlic. And there's milk.
Grace
can't eat anything.
I know, Mark. We need to get some emotes. We got to start working on that.
What should they be? Should they be the salt and pepper shaker?
I definitely think we should do a salt and pepper shaker. Maybe we could get Peter to make them for us. We got to ask him about that.
That got to work.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like I'm talking a whole lot because we're doing a bunch of different things here today.
I don't want to talk.
But we have...
Well, there was no school today. Normally, I don't speak. If you ever notice, you're like, oh, that guy Jimmy here doesn't really talk. I talk all day in school. I don't want to talk anymore. Sally, on the other hand, has just done baby talk all day, so she's excited. Who wants some carrots?
Our puppies are getting some carrots. Oh, they can kind of see him on the camera a little bit if he was moved over just slightly. But he loves carrots.
He's a good boy.
So all of these carrots now have been peeled. He just kind of peels the outer layer off. And then he's going to... Oh, you can see the dogs. They love their carrots. Those babies. They love them. You could do it. Show him how cute he is and gentle he is. Good boy. Eats it right out of his mouth.
Hogan has no idea.
I wouldn't do it with Hogan, though. All right. Let me just give you...
3 teeth, but...
Let me just give you some info on the stuff that we're making with the stuffing, what we're going to be using tonight. We're using stovetop This is the cornbread flavor. Actually, this is the first year we're going to be using the cornbread flavor.
I made that call.
He made a game time decision to do that. Typically, I just use the chicken flavor, but I think the cornbread is going to work the same. It's very, very easy to make. If you've never made it at home, all it is really is the stovetop mixture, some butter or margarine, and some water. But when we make this tonight, we're going to be adding some baby bella mushrooms, the chicken chorizo, and we're going to be adding some stock in the place, or broth that we have here, stock in place of water. But we'll use a little bit of water also, because if you just use strictly stock, it gets a little bit salty.
Yeah.
And you don't want it overly salty.
We'll be making gravy tonight, too.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be fun. Hi, Anastasia. Hi, Icelandic Theater Geek. Oh, I'm glad to see some of our familiar faces. But this, again, if you're just joining us, is going to be like our mini holiday feast, since it's just going to be us at home tomorrow. We wanted to cook tonight, show you some of the things that we eat traditionally on Thanksgiving, and show you that it's not as overwhelming as people make it out to be. Granted, for the holidays, sometimes people go really over and beyond, and generally, we make so much food. We always have so many leftovers.
I don't know how to cook for a small amount of people.
We don't. We tend to have so many leftovers the following day, but since we're going to be making kind of a mini feast, we're going to try to scale it back just a bit.
I mean, I already went too crazy on the carrots, just looking at these.
It looks like it.
So the carrots, I'm just slicing them in half, long ways, and then I'm actually slicing them in half again. You could leave them whole and roast them. It's really pretty. It just takes a long time. So I want to just slice them up. I leave the ends on because I think it looks a little more rustic.
It does. It looks really pretty. Now, this time we're just going off. What did that go off for?
The turkey.
Is it done?
Well, I got to check the temp.
Oh, okay. So let him finish doing that. We'll do this with the carrots. Then we'll take out the turkey.
Some of the carrots that are super thick, I'm going to actually
cut them again.
quarter them.
Mm-hmm.
Just so that we're going to be able to get more of an even cook.
Hope you're well, Anastasia, too. Thank you. Cool. You know what's really funny is that I never really liked carrots until he made me carrots. I've never really been a fan, and they were not my favorite vegetable growing up. I didn't mind them if they were in foods, but eating carrots on their own, I wasn't really a big fan of. But he makes them these roasted carrots, and they're so simple, but they're so yummy. So I hope that you try making these at home because they're really easy to do. But that looks good. Once he does that and he checks on the turkey, then I will show you how to get the stuffing prepared.
Cool.
Us too, Icelandic Theater Geek, totally. She said that cooking too much is her entire family's motto. That's definitely the way that we are here. I don't think there's ever a time where we go to a family function or a holiday where there
aren't leftovers.
Where there aren't a ton of leftovers. We always end up giving out Tupperware containers full of food. We actually have Tupperware, we actually just have Tupperware containers, mounds of them, and we give those out every year for the holidays. We usually make like a little station.
I used to get them from the job.
Yeah. But it's great. I mean, the holidays. This is what this holiday is kind of all about, is eating a lot. So actually, before we did our stream today, we're going to give you a little bit of some background info. But generally, when we make the food that we do on the stream, that's what we'll eat for dinner that night. But since this is the food that we're going to eat tomorrow, and tomorrow is going to be like a day of a lot of food, we decided to eat pretty healthy. And before we started our stream, we ate some lovely salads with some tomatoes that we had left over from our garden, some cherry tomatoes, some chicken breast, and fresh mutts, and some pomegranate seeds, actually, and a homemade dressing. All right, so this looks good. These are good here. Well, I'm just going to kind of spread them out a little bit.
Well, I got to toss them.
Oh, yeah. I'm just kind of...
No, I got to toss them.
Oh, toss them in here.
Yeah.
Great. I know that bowl's kind of small.
I think I need a bigger bowl.
We do. So tell us in the chat, is anybody cooking for themselves tomorrow? Let us know. And if you are, what you make? What are you making?
All right, so I've quartered these carrots. So we have nice sticks. They're just going to cook up nice and evenly, but still have a little bite. I don't want to cut them too thin because otherwise they're going to get
Then they become like mush.
which is gross. So I'm going to add about 3 solid tablespoons of olive oil. I'm going to do a little fresh pepper.
That's what you're gonna have tomorrow,
Salt.
Mark. You could always come by and pick up a nice container of food. I'm sure there'll be plenty.
Salt, a little bit of garlic powder.
Alright.
A little cinnamon.
Spoke too soon.
Stir these up. Cinnamon and a root vegetable like a carrot just go so very nicely together. Then I have my secret trick that I'm going to add at the end, which is my Thanksgiving special. So just roasting the carrot just like this is going to be delicious, but for Thanksgiving I add another layer to it, which I don't think Sally's expecting. So I like the sweet and spiciness of it, so I'm going to actually add some crushed red pepper too. So they have a little bit of a bite. I'm just giving them a nice toss so that they all mix together. Onto my pan. Now with no true rhyme or reason, I'm just going to line them up so that they are all touching the surface area of my sheet pan, so they'll cook nicely. Sally is currently running back and forth, like checking on the baby. He's fine for a second, then fussy, then fine, then fussy, then fine, fussy, fine, fussy. Story of his life.
He's a little tired. Okay.
So, those are all set. I'm just going to add my secret Thanksgiving ingredient. Get out of there with the carrot.
So these carrots are looking yummy.
Get out of it, get out. People are trying to get the carrot skins
Doesn't surprise
out of
me.
the garbage.
He loves his carrots. And he would knock that garbage over if he could. Oh, yes. I forgot that you add this on the carrots.
Only on Thanksgiving, yeah.
Nice.
Little maple, a little fresh maple syrup.
It's going to be tasty. Perfect.
Just
This
a
is
nice
always
drizzle.
good too if you make sweet potatoes for the holiday. You could definitely use a little bit of maple syrup or even regular syrup for pancakes.
Yeah, the maple syrup just goes a little better because it's still pretty sweet, but it's not
It's not as
quite
sweet.
as sweet. Already, these are going to take about 25 minutes.
Okay, you're going to put those in the oven?
They shot the turkey.
You need to check it?
Yeah, I gotta check the temp on it. I don't want to overcook it either. So this is usually a big reveal. Ooh.
Yeah, look at that.
So, for just being the turkey breast, it's still
So
pretty
big.
ridiculous. It's nice. I got my drippings, which I'm going to use to make my gravy in a little bit. We need 165 as our magic number.
And you want to go for the meatiest part of the bird. Usually a thigh,
But in this
but
case,
this is
it's
the
all
breast.
breast. No, it's a little under.
Okay, so we need a little bit of time.
This other side. It's just a little bit under. So I don't mind cooking it up just a touch more anyway. I want it to get slightly more of a crisp. So probably just a couple more minutes and it shall be good to go. Alright, carrots are in there, garlic's in there. Set this timer. 15.
Perfect. All right, so the carrots are already inside. What are we doing with these shallots? Remind me.
the mesh.
Oh, for the mash. That's right.
Do you need it for the stuffing?
Do we usually put it in the mash?
I usually do.
You do? Okay, I couldn't remember. I actually could use one of these for the stuffing. That would be great.
Yeah, we have plenty.
And we're going to be using some mushrooms and some chicken chorizo. So with the mushrooms, I'm just going to do a quick rinse of these. I haven't done that yet. Oh, baby.
Somebody's not happy.
Somebody's hungry. I think he wants his dinner.
Alright.
So I look very, very pale. I am very, very pale. Just in general, but I look super pale right now. Oh, baby, you look like you're in baby jail. Sorry, everyone. I'm gonna check on him. One sec.
I'll get him.
Daddy's got it. Okay.
Whoa.
Alright. So. Can I put these Brussels sprouts in here? Or should they go straight in here?
There's no syrup in there, but I'll give you another container. So you can rinse.
Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to just put these mushrooms in. Just to wash them, you want to rinse them off. You don't have to go crazy with washing mushrooms. There's sometimes just like a little bit of dirt on them. Obviously from being in the ground. So I'm going to just rinse these. These are just small baby bellas. If you can just totally use regular like sliced white mushrooms too, or any mushroom that you like the flavor of. It's fine. But I love baby bella. Use these. I'm just gonna rinse. Just check that. All right. Let me know if you have any questions.
Oh.
I'm just gonna give these two once I rinse them. Just kind of a rough chop. You don't need to be pretty since they're going in the stuffing. They don't have to be like super fancy or anything like that. Drain these out. I'm just going to kind of pat them dry with a paper towel as well, because I don't want them to be super soaked. This is our garbage bowl here.
Yep.
Alright, so you see this is just like a little baby bella mushroom right here. I generally don't like the stems because they're a little bit tough, so you could just pull them out with your finger. And there you go, that's what you're going to have there. Some people take the gills out too. You don't necessarily need to do that. If you want to, you can. But the gills in this aren't like the large portobellos. They're not as tough. But if you don't want them, you can take them out. But it's kind of a lot of work. So you're really just going to kind of cut them like this, like so. Cut the top. And I probably do about like quarters. That's probably good. Just a rough chop like that. That's kind of what you want. Because mushrooms tend to cook down pretty well. It's going to be easy. He says, hi, Aunt Grace. Okay. And he is very hungry. He is very hungry. Alright, so I'm just going to take the stems out of here. I probably should have done this before, but that's okay. I'm just going to bear with me like this while I do that. Mushrooms are super soft, so they're pretty easy to just get right out. And mushrooms, I don't know if mushrooms are very fragrant. That very earthy smell. But I love them. This one had a lot of water in it. strain that a little bit. There's quite a bit of water.
I'm coming, baby.
Bear with us while the baby gets ready for dinner. He sees us cooking, and he said, "Hey, you guys ate already. Where's my dinner?" There's like a little bit of flesh too around the bottom of the Bella. I usually, that like kind of softer part, I usually kind of pull that back a little bit too.
Let's skip my cracker.
Oh, good idea. Okay. We just got a couple. So this is actually 2 small containers of mushrooms, and I'm gonna make 2 boxes of the stuffing. So I'm gonna use 2 containers of these small mushrooms like this, and I'm gonna use 1 container of the chicken chorizo, or 1 package of chicken chorizo.
Well, I got 2. That means we have chorizo left over. Awesome.
Yeah. No, I don't think we need both of them.
No, I'm cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be good there.
Honestly, if you really wanted and you don't want to chop your mushrooms, you could break them. I probably should just be doing that the whole time because they are so soft, and this really doesn't have to be pretty. So you could just kind of break them with your fingers. That's what I'm going to do instead of chopping them. Flying easier.
That's what we've done.
You'll live and you'll learn. Oh my gosh, that turkey looks so good right now.
Steam is on the over. So
Yeah, he'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. You can see it there on the you can see it there on the stovetop. It's a lot browner now. It's got a really great caramel color. You can probably hear it sizzling right now.
It's way too fast.
Yeah. Okay. Break up these mushrooms.
Slow down, champ. Got a lot of cracking in that.
If you remember in our last stream, we made big portobello mushrooms that were stuffed with some goat cheese and spinach and some panko breadcrumbs. Those were delicious. And you can use these small baby bellas like that and make small versions of that for
Broccoli.
the babysitters, broccoli tonight. You could make smaller versions of like an appetizer with this. So that would be really good too.
It's coming.
Oh, right. What's that?
I'm coming, maybe.
Okay. So this looks like quite a bit of quite a bit of mushrooms, but it's really not. They kind of cook down. They're like spinach in that way, where they look like a lot at the beginning, and then as you cook them, they kind of wilt down. So this is going to be good. And typically, when we were making this for more people, I would make 3 boxes of stuffing, and maybe throw another package of mushrooms in that, but I don't really have to. So you see, this is what we've got here. This is all the mushrooms. I just broke them apart with my fingers. It's super easy to do that. I'm going to use this right here. I just wash my hands off now.
You ready for some more? Look at this. Like a 3/4 minute.
Okay. I'm just going to, again, kind of pat these dry a little bit because they had a little bit of excess moisture from when I rinsed them. This colander wasn't the best for
Right for the cracker.
for those. I'm going to turn this light on just a bit. Look a little, there we go. It's a little like washed out. So sorry about that. I still kind of do. I still look like a ghost. Okay. So let me rinse these like this. Perfect. And I'm going to get a nice big pot for this, big tall pot for the stuffing because you need like a little bit of room to play with when you do this. What's that?
I just laughed. Taking time and everything.
Okay, put that over here. Check this chat. Actually, I probably should have cut that shallot first.
You okay?
Let me just kind of move this over. And do that. Now, I do not have the knife skills that Jimmy does, but I'm just going to kind of roughly chop this as well. Doesn't have to be pretty. I should really know how to do this because he does it like all the time on the stream and shows everybody how to cut nicely, and then I cut the way that I cut, and it always looks like a mess. That's okay. You do you in the kitchen, right? Do what works for you. Food doesn't have to be perfect. Just has to be made with love.
You don't like the broccoli?
He is not a fan of the broccoli, no. He just wants his cracker, I think. He started eggs this week. Loves those. Just peeling this skin off of the shallot here. Now, a big tip or a piece of advice that would be really good if you are hosting a holiday yourself, maybe not this year with everything that's going on, but in the future, you can do a lot of like your food prep the day before or even 2 days before. If you want, you can do like the prepping of these veggies before, like at least 2 days before, so that when you actually, so that when it's actually time to start preparing the food, you don't really have to do a whole lot of work. So I don't have good cutting technique. I already told you this, so I'm just going to kind of cut these into nice little rings here, and I'm just going to dice them up. Just like so. I don't do this
You want to
in
switch?
a very pretty way. It's okay. No, I'm just kind of just like chopping here. Chop. If I was ever on a cooking show, they would be embarrassed. They'd be like, I don't know what you're doing there. And honestly, the way that I'm doing this right now, not good in terms of keeping your eyes tear-free. But that's all I really want. I'm just going to do one shallot like that. That was a pretty small shallot, too. Okay. Please don't judge me. And my cutting skills. All right, perfect. So, this is what we need here. They're like roughly where they need to be. They don't need to be like super uniform. But I'm just going to put these in the pan here with some olive oil. Heat this up. Medium heat. You don't want to go too high. You don't want them to burn. Put a little bit of olive oil in there, and then I'm going to put the shallots in and let them kind of become a little bit transparent. Actually, before... Yeah, I'll start the shallots first, and then I'm going to add the chorizo. You know what? I don't really have a recipe for this. I do this every year, and I just kind of wing it.
The chorizo's cooked.
It's pre-cooked already, so
So
you don't
you-
have to worry about that. But it's just a matter of browning them up. So I am going to do it with the shallots because I just think it's going to have a nice flavor.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm going to give that another little chop there because that one looks pretty big. Put some olive oil in there. Now I'm just going to put some shallots in this. Oh, what's going on, baby?
Broccoli.
Not a fan of the broccoli. Where is the whole thing? Now we have. Use a little spatula here like this. Good. You have a little scraper. I don't know where it is.
Scraper?
Yeah, I thought we had a scraper to pick this stuff up.
Oh, on top of the fridge.
Oh, it's on top of the fridge. All right. Well, I'm kind of like makeshift here, making a mess. Jimmy is much better at making things presentable. I'm just like kind of doing an experiment here. And probably making this much harder on myself than it needs to be. But that's cool. Okay, so those shallots are inside. I'm gonna get a little plastic spoon here. Coat them in some olive oil and let them get translucent there. Cook down. Now, in these box stuffing mixes, what you usually have, you have dried onions in there. You have dried celery. Like, they have those different vegetables already in them. So you kind of see it in the mixture here. But I'm just gonna throw that in the last minute. That actually goes in at the very, very end.
Everybody doesn't want it. Doesn't want any broccoli.
He does not want broccoli.
I don't think I put a little garlic in there.
Maybe in the future.
Growing things.
Yeah. I think it's actually a little flaky. Okay. Now I'm also gonna start preparing the chorizo. And again, this is pre-cooked, so you don't have to worry about cooking it through. It's just a matter of giving it like a nice brown kind of color on it. Make it a little crispier.
You ready for your water? Ooh, your favorite part.
Okay, so while that's doing that, I'm gonna get
You put the spoon down your throat. So you still have to crack it.
poultry board. Move this stuff up here. So I'm cooking those shallots, then I'm going to throw in the chorizo, and then I'm going to throw in the mushrooms. The mushrooms don't need a whole lot of time either.
Good job.
It actually kind of comes together really quickly, especially if you do the prep work ahead of time, which I did not do. But you could have, and it would probably be a smarter choice. But here we go. So this is just chicken chorizo. Now, typically pork chorizo is going to like kind of crumble up, which it's actually a little bit of a better texture when you make something like this. I prefer using the pork, but since we don't eat it anymore, the chicken is a good substitute. It's just the texture is slightly different. So I'm just going to open this up, and I'm just going to cut them into pretty uniform pieces here. If I could get this open, that would be great.
I'm going to get that for you. Those are tough.
Yeah, you know what it is? My fingers were a little bit wet, so it's a little slippery. There we go. There we go. Now, as I was saying before, if you're a vegetarian, you could skip this step altogether. But if you're not, this just adds a little bit of a nice flavor to the mixture. And again, I keep calling it stuffing. It's actually not stuffing. This is considered dressing. It's called dressing when it's made outside of the turkey. It's called stuffing when it is stuffed inside the turkey, obviously. So that's where the name comes from. But you hear people use it interchangeably, but you actually, it's really not stuffing, because I won't be stuffing the bird with it. Okay, so these are already, like we said, these are already pre-cooked. I'm just gonna kind of slice it through the middle, just like that. And I'm gonna do that. Someone wants to come over here. Oh, okay. So we're going to cut these in half,
There it is.
like that, and then we're going to cut them into kind of like nice little bite-sized pieces. Again, this doesn't have to be super uniform either, because stuffing is kind of dressing. I keep saying that myself, even though I just told you that. But dressing is kind of rustic. I'm just going to cut that just like that into little bite-sized pieces. Like, probably this size is good. And again, pork chorizo is going to actually like kind of crumble, so the texture will be a little bit different, and it gets nice and like brown in the pan. So if you have pork chorizo, you could use it, and you would just notice that the texture would be slightly different. Okay. This is coming out here. You could see what I'm doing here. Again, if you have better knife skills than me, this would be a lot faster. I'm just going to do this kind of quick here. As quick as I can. And I'm just going to check the shallots. Perfect. Anybody have any questions in the chat so far as to what we're doing here? Does anybody... Actually, the dressing is my favorite part of Thanksgiving. I could eat a whole just like bowl of this and just be totally satisfied and not eat anything else. It doesn't. The other stuff doesn't really matter to me as much. I mean, I love the potatoes. I do love the other sides, but this to me is totally Thanksgiving, and we make this sometimes when it's not Thanksgiving because I just like it. It's a very yummy bite, and it holds up pretty well for the next couple of days after Thanksgiving, so you have it to kind of snack on and have leftovers. I was actually thinking about like a way to use the leftovers. We generally don't have leftovers of this because it always goes. It's really good. But I was thinking about how to use the leftovers of this and like making like almost like little fried balls
We saw that.
the dressing.
Giada did that.
Yeah, I was thinking about trying that. I think that would be really yummy. Okay, this is good.
Nice bird. That's neat.
Bread, what do you mean, Mark? Is bread your favorite thing to eat on Thanksgiving? I forgot what I asked just now. All right, so I'm going to toss these pieces of the chicken chorizo in here now. Good. I'll let those brown up a bit. I'm also going to rinse my hands. That chicken is already pre-cooked, so it's not like a salmonella risk, but I just want to rinse them anyway. Okay. Excellent. I'm going to throw my hair back, too. You can see today is like the real deal of cooking for me because I'm in my tank top because I'm always hot and throwing my hair back. Okay. All right, I'm just going to raise the temperature on here a little bit. I lowered it so that the shallots wouldn't burn. And
then also, can you take a peek at the carrots?
sure.
Sorry.
They're looking good. They need some more time before we turn them over. Alright, so this chicken is going to start to brown up a little bit. And then we'll add the mushrooms after that point. And then we start adding the rest of the packaged ingredients. So obviously so many people make homemade stuffing or dressing. And you know, you want to take time ahead of time to make your breadcrumbs that you'd be using. So people use fresh bread and let it kind of get stale. This is already done for you, so that's why I love these packages. And what I'm going to do is once those other ingredients are cooked down to where I want them to be, I will add this stuffing mixture, and then I will add some stock and some water, and a little bit of butter as well. And then it cooks up like instantly. This stuff takes like a matter of minutes to do. So once all that other stuff is done, it comes together really quick. So right now we're just kind of prepping this to a point where we want it to be. So Grace was asking what you added to the carrots. She said you added olive oil, garlic, salt, pepper, cinnamon, maple syrup, and red pepper.
Yeah.
That was it? Yeah, you got it.
Sweet and spicy.
So they're a little bit sweet and a little bit spicy. Exactly. Okay. These don't take a whole lot of time to brown up either, that chicken sausage. So that's going to work its way down a little bit and get nice and ready to go. What else can I prep over here?
I got it in there.
Brussels sprouts? Mm-hmm. So you're just cutting them in half?
We gotta cut the little stem off
Mm-hmm.
and then slice them in half.
Okay.
And then you put them right back into that bowl.
Okay.
Or into any other bowl, whatever's easier. Unless you want to grip.
Well,
Yeah, you do the stuffing.
okay. Alright, so with the Brussels sprouts, as you could hear, I don't know if you could hear Jimmy in the background there, so you're going to cut that little like tail end piece off, and then you're going to cut them in half.
Yep.
Right? So, I'm just going to cut them right down the middle. Just like that. Okay, and they're going to go right back into the bowl. That little tail end, put it in the garbage. Now, you usually leave those pieces that fall off.
Yes.
Okay, so you don't want to get rid of these because actually they crisp up pretty nicely in the air fryer too. Alright, just like that. I'm just going to check on that chicken too. Because now it's starting to brown up really nicely in here with the shallots, but I don't want them to burn. But they're getting nice and toasty in here, and they're really starting to cook down nicely. I'm actually kind of breaking up the chicken sausage a little bit too with my spoon. So that they kind of break down a little bit in the mixture. I'm going to turn down my heat a little bit. Good. And then I'll continue on here. Again, this obviously, these steps could be done ahead of time with vegetable prep. And it would save you a little bit of time and energy if you do this.
You're being passive aggressive right now? Like I should have done that earlier?
No, I'm saying I should have done that earlier. He's asking me if I'm being passive aggressive about that. I really should have thought about doing this earlier so that we weren't spending all this time doing this now in terms of the stream. But I mean, we're showing you guys really what goes on when you prepare for the holidays. And this is what happens when you have a baby at home and you're just like preoccupied during the day. You know what I mean? And it's a little bit more challenging to get this stuff done. This is our first year making a holiday meal, having a baby at home. So just be careful with your fingers and cutting, because...
You cut yourself?
No, I didn't. I'm just saying, be careful. Again, I know like people like usually like kind of put like their knuckles there, but I can't ever get a really good grip. I don't know if it's because I have long nails or what. I really need to see like a cutting class. All right, this is nice brown bits in it. So I'm actually going to add those mushrooms now to that pot, because these could go in there. I'm just going to grab them with my hands too. Toss them in. Mushrooms have a little bit of moisture too, so when these cook down, they're going to add a little bit of moisture to our pot there. Those in. And again, these don't have to be like super pretty. They break up too as you stir the mixture, because mushrooms are so soft. Doesn't take a lot to kind of break them down. I think somebody wants a little baby now.
Look at George.
So mommy might have to be doing some feeding in a minute. All right, so I'm going to show you what this looks like in the pot. You can see we've got the chorizo, the mushrooms in there, and the shallots, and they're kind of working their way in there. I'm just going to add a little bit more olive oil to this too, to let that kind of cook down. And this is just going to start to kind of cook down, and you're going to see that mixture get a lot softer and wetter. And then we'll add the other ingredients to it. It's really, really easy, actually. A lot of people will be like, oh, on the holidays, generally, like, what did you do to this? What did you do? And I'm like, really didn't do a whole lot. It's just kind of letting these flavors cook down together. While these mushrooms, the chorizo, and the shallots are cooking together, I am going to add a little bit of salt and pepper in there as well. I'm not going to go crazy with the salt, because with stock and the stuffing packet itself, they're a little on the saltier side. So I'm not going to put a ton of salt, but I am going to put some pepper. I'm going to put just a touch of salt, just to season it up a little bit, because you always want to add those layers of flavor. Turn up the heat in there again. Good. He's talking to the fan. Yeah.
That's the baby. He likes to talk to the ceiling fan in his playroom.
He loves the ceiling fan.
It's going to be an electrician one day.
Yeah, would you give me that olive oil, please? I'm going to put a little bit more in there. Thank you. All right. Now we're starting to cook here. Need it a little bit more
fire. So now we're cooking on fire.
Yeah.
Brussels sprouts chopped. Put them back into the bowl.
Look how much faster he is. I did like 4, and he did the whole bunch in like 2 seconds.
Very simple for the Brussels sprouts. Olive oil, about 2 or 3 tablespoons. Salt, pepper, garlic, paprika. Into the air fryer. If you don't have an air fryer, no big deal. Roast them in the oven, about 25 minutes.
I'm also going to just put a touch of butter in with this,
because it's Thanksgiving.
with the mushrooms and the shallots. We have another one of these butters, don't
We
we?
do. I gotta grab it downstairs.
I can grab it. It's okay.
No, I'll get it. Don't worry. He's cracking himself up now.
The man's good. I'm surprised. Is Babs in the chat or my mom in the chat? I don't see them tonight. I'm surprised.
I go heavy on the paprika because it's going to add some nice color. And then I'll do a touch more of olive oil after that.
I'm just going to run down with some butter.
Oh, Use the short sauce. It's good. Brussels sprouts you can actually eat raw. So if you were to slice these really thin, they're great as a green in a Caesar salad.
Oh yeah, they're great in Caesar salad. It's when they're shaved up. Love them.
Remember what you had in
Yeah.
Dallas?
So I'll tell you a story. We went to a restaurant in Dallas. I don't remember the name of the restaurant, but we went to visit some friends in Dallas a couple years ago, and we went out to this really nice restaurant. The food was very, very good, and we got this wonderful shaved Brussels sprout salad. I don't remember if it was a Caesar salad or not, but regardless, it had
Excellent.
shaved Brussels sprouts, and it was so tasty. And as we're eating our meal,
They were rushing us. You must have needed.
Yeah, they were rushing us a bit, but we were having a great time with our friends, and we hadn't been in the restaurant long. This was our salad round,
Yeah,
so we were eating.
apps.
It was the beginning of the meal, and they really, I guess, wanted the table. And as we're eating the salad, and we're talking and joking with our friends, I'm taking a bite of my salad. I take a bite of my salad. I look at a friend to talk to them. We're having a hot conversation. I look down, and my salad. They had taken my salad off the table. I was in the middle of eating it. I had not finished my plate. I gave no sign of being done with my food. And I looked down, and my salad was gone. I was so upset. I'm usually not a person to make a steak at a restaurant, though, so I just kind of left it, and I was just a little bit annoyed and kind of bitter the rest of the night. And if you want to know one thing about me, don't mess with my food, okay? I'm a very happy, pleasant person most of the time, and patient most of the time. But when it comes to my food, if I am hungry, I am hangry, okay? I am angry. And my husband can attest to this, and so can my brother on the chat, I'm sure. Alright, so I'm going to give you a little peek as to what the mushrooms and the chorizo and everything looks like now, because you can see that everything is starting to cook down and really start to get a little bit of moisture in there and start cooking down. So this is where we want it to be. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes in this kind of state, let it get really nice and soft in there, and cook down a little bit more, because we don't want the mushrooms to be super tough. So we're just going to let them kind of mellow out just a little bit more. But again, that chicken sausage is already cooked. These mushrooms don't need a ton of time, but I want them to be a bit softer, so I'm just going to let them do that. Also, if you want to kind of speed up that process, you can put the lid on top of the pot and kind of let them steam up a little bit, and that's what I'm going to do. Just like so. Let that steam up. Perfect. Okay, so the Brussels sprouts are in our air fryer. That garlic, that head of garlic is still in the oven. The carrots smell amazing. I just opened that door up and they smell good. So I'm going to take them out so we can take a quick peek at them and we can kind of flip them over because we're going to want to cook them on the other side. So I'm just the carrots over here so you can see them. Give myself some space here. Excellent. And you, believe it or not, our turkey was the easiest thing to prepare tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, you can see those carrots. They look awesome. I am going to flip them, or just kind of give them like a stir, you know what I mean, and get them kind of.
Just want to let them brown.
Yeah, you want them to brown on both sides. So I'm just gonna kind of mix them together like this. And you could see, the coating on the sides that are done already. Like that maple syrup gives it a nice color too, and obviously they get brown from just being in the oven, but that maple syrup kind of gives them like a little bit of a glaze. They look really good, and they smell so good. The cinnamon on here gives them such a nice sweet smell. So does the maple syrup. This is great. I'm just gonna kind of mix them to get them nice and coated up too. And get them on the other side. And then we're gonna let them cook down again for I'd say what, like another 10 minutes or so?
Yeah, probably. They're
You give them a bite, they're probably gonna be hot. But they're already done.
the thinner ones are.
The thinner ones. Okay. Alright, so I just kind of mixed them a little bit. Just gave them a little bit of a zhuzh. A zhuzh. Throw this back in. That garlic's been in there for a bit, so that's certainly going to be ready when it's time to make the potatoes. I'm going to check on, this is where we want our mushrooms to be. Okay, now, some people might drain out this liquid here with the mushrooms, but I'm actually going to leave it because the box stuffing is dry, and you want to add a little bit of moisture to it, and that's what the stock is for, that's what water is for. But you don't want to get rid of the mushroom juice because I feel like that's going to give it a nice flavor. Oh boy. If you can see your son in the camera, I don't know if you can.
No.
You probably can't right now. But he is basically crawled on top of our dog.
In his toy chest.
In his toy chest, trying to get toys out, but like laying on top of our dog doing that.
Just taking it.
And our dog is the best. That's the
Couldn't
ball,
care
by
less.
the way. Can I just show the camera this really quick?
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to notice how different it looks from just before when I showed you. You're going to see that there's liquid in there now. You can see it coming up the sides. The mushrooms have softened up really nicely. The chicken is nice and brown in there. So I'm just going to kind of give it a quick stir. And then I'm going to start adding the other ingredients. Because really, we don't need much more time. I'm just going to kind of see how these mushrooms are. For some of the ones that are a little bit bigger, they may still be a little bit tougher. But honestly, look, they look good. Would you hand me one of the wooden stirrers, please?
Just use the carrots. So right now I'm just dicing up the top half of that garlic because I'm going to get ready to make the gravy shortly. So I'm going to put a little garlic into my gravy. I'm going to make a very simple roux as well.
Alright, this looks good, and we're going to get our stock and everything in here. Now. Okay, so the package directions for this stuffing says, bring 1 1/2 cups of water and a quarter cup or 4 tablespoons of margarine or butter to boil in a medium saucepan. Stir in the stuffing mix, remove from the heat, let stand for 5 minutes and fluff with a fork. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add this. I'm going to add the stock and the butter right to our mushrooms and our chicken and everything in there and bring that up to boil, and then I'll throw everything else in. So this is to use 1 1/2 cups of water and a quarter cup of butter. So I'm actually going to kind of I'm going to use about, since we're using 2 boxes, I'm going to use about 2 cups of water and 2 cups of stock. That's usually what I do, and if I need to add a little bit more, I can. But that's kind of what I want to do right now, and we have some of that excess moisture from the mushrooms. So I'm using just the chicken stock here. If you're trying to avoid salt, you could go for a lower sodium one. This is just a traditional stock, so it is going to be a little bit saltier. And then this is actually how much in here. This is 4 cups in here, so I'm just going to use half the container for about 2 cups. Good. All right, that's just about half of the container here. This could go right into the refrigerator.
I'm going to use that for the gravy.
But you are going to use it for the gravy, so we're going to use that and keep that out.
Oh, man.
Okay, I'm going to use a little bit more butter. And also want to use some water. So I'm going to add actually 2 cups of water in here as well.
Whew. Shallot really got me. So I'm just dicing up a shallot. Then I'm going to get ready for the gravy. I'm just going to get these into a pot and let it start simmering down.
Okay, so here's 1 cup of water.
Actually,
There's 2 cups of water in here, 2 cups of stock added to our mushroom mixture. And I'm going to raise up the temperature here because I want this to boil before I add the stuffing packages. And I'm also going to throw in I would say, at least 4 tablespoons of butter.
Thanksgiving. Butter.
Well, that's actually what it calls for on the package for one of the boxes. So I'm not going to go crazy and do 8 tablespoons of butter because that's quite a lot. Actually, maybe I'll do the middle ground. I'll do 6. Yeah, please.
So to get my gravy ready, I just have my shallots in here with a touch of olive oil. I'm actually going to add some butter as well. Show the stuff.
These packages already smell so good on their own.
There we go.
Thank you. Just kind of like this, just in a little bag.
For my shallot, for my gravy, about a tablespoon of butter, about a tablespoon of olive oil. Do you need this?
No, I do not. Okay. I'm going to take some butter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is kind of like in between 4 and 6 here. They weren't huge tablespoons. I'm going to mix that butter in with this stock and water and the mushrooms and the chicken sausage. And I'm just going to bring this up to a boil. And once that's at a boil, you add the stuffing packets in. You let it all kind of heat through, and then you fluff it up with a fork, and it is done. Oh, so our carrots are done, our turkey is done, our stuffing is almost done. And then he's working on the gravy, and then we'll show you how to make our potatoes. And again, those are really easy too.
Yeah, that's the easy.
That's actually going to be super easy because those potatoes are already pre-boiled.
See, you want to get a little bit of that
char.
And that's the char from the sugar charring out from the maple syrup. So you want your carrots to be a little bit firm. You don't want them to be too almost gummy, if you will.
Yeah. All right. So this is just coming up to a boil. It's on the highest heat right now, but since there's quite a bit of liquid, it's going to take a moment. So once that starts boiling, I'll add the packaged ingredients. But right now, it's just kind of chilling out in there, getting ready to get nice and hot. All right. Sure. All right. Perfect. Okay, that butter's coming up.
What's up?
All right. Our Brussels sprouts cooking in the oven. Our carrots are done.
Hi, baby. Hello, baby.
And once I'm done with the stuffing, I think I'm going to go sit with him and try to give him
He's done.
he sounds like he's done for the night. I might have to go upstairs and get him ready for bed. It's around his bedtime. And then Jimmy's just going to have to show you how to make the potatoes.
Easy enough.
Yeah. Normally we put our recipes up on our Instagram page. This might take me a little bit longer to get these up. Maybe I'll have to put them up tomorrow. Try that skin. Mmm. Whoa, it's big skin. Mmm. Yum. All right. This mixture is almost at a boil. So I'm just going to cut the bags, get them ready to go. I'll show you what the inside of this looks like. I don't know if they have this in other countries for anybody else that's watching outside of the States, but you can see that these packages are kind of just seasoned breadcrumbs already. And
Just
this is
stale bread.
it's just stale bread, really, but it's already done for you. Obviously, there might be like some preservatives and things like that. So if you're worried about that and you want to make your own fresh ones, go for it. But that's what we were just doing today. So there's a little bit of cornbread in there, like cornbread, stale bread, with some pre-seasoned already. And then I'm just going to toss them into this boiling mixture. So you can see what that looks like now. Okay, so that's just stock and water and butter with our mushrooms and our chicken chorizo and some shallots. It already is at a boil here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add these 2 packs to it. Now, I actually have more boxes here, so if I feel like this is a little bit too wet, I might add another one. But give it a go. You can see it all depends on how many people you're going to be hosting too as well. But since this is the year of smaller gatherings, I decided to start with 2, but I might make 3 just because I love dressing.
Can't go wrong.
All right, so I'm going to throw this in.
All right, so here's the trick with gravy. So I have my butter, shallots. They're simmering down very nicely. To give it the turkey flavor, you're going to take some of the brown bits from your roasting pan, which is just kind of some of the oil and the fat that's dissolved off. So that's why you always want to save that. And that is going to give your gravy its color and added flavor. So I'm just kind of breaking up some of the particles that are in there. I'm going to scoop some out and add it to my gravy. Or my little mixture. It's not actually gravy yet. So this is, I think this is essentially what a gravy master would do.
Mm-hmm.
So gravy master is like this little bottle of gravy thickener seasoning. Oh my god, look at all that.
Yeah, he took them all out. I noticed that already.
So it's going to add a nice bit of color. What happened over here? Oh yeah, the diapers. There's diapers everywhere. So now you can see it's changed the color of this. So once I add my stock, well, I'm going to make a little bit of a roux first, but when I add my stock, it's going to have that tannish color that
I'm adding another box.
See, you were making fun of me for getting all those.
No, listen, I think last year I made 4 boxes. This year maybe 3. A little bit less. You know what it is actually? The cornbread ones are a little bit smaller.
Okay.
It looks that way anyway.
Alright, just toss my garlic garlic in here. I'm just going to let this finish simmering up together. I'll get ready to add my flour and butter and make a little roux from this mixture.
All right.
Just having a grand old time.
Just taking diapers out, making a mess. All right, so with this stuffing mixture, I'm calling the stuffing because that's what it is on. Oh, our computer is low battery, so let me get the charger really quick.
So to this I just added, I'm going to bring my temp down. I added a little bit of butter, and now I'm going to add my flour. It's about 1-to-1 ratio, so for every tablespoon of butter, about a tablespoon of flour. Mix this up together. Oh yeah. Nothing better than gravy. It's really nothing better. What's the matter, baby?
Our streams usually aren't this long. I said our streams usually aren't this long.
Right. It's Thanksgiving. So now you can see it's taking out a nice consistency and color, looking a bit more like a gravy. Hi. I'm actually going to add a touch more flour now to thicken it up just a bit. So if I was to add flour later, I would need to add a water and flour mixture. But since I'm adding it with the flour and the butter, I can add just the dry flour, and it's not going to lump up my gravy. And yes, there is garlic and onions in here. I'm going to strain my gravy out at the end, just so it's nice and smooth, silky smooth.
Give our dressing a taste too. Perfect. All right, that's done.
Nice.
So our carrots are done. Our dressing is done. Our Brussels sprouts sound like they're done as well. They're done too.
Oh, they're perfect. Splash. How's he doing?
Definitely listen.
Should I take out the garlic now?
Yeah, you can.
All right. The gravy mixture is all set. Now to this, I'm just going to add my chicken stock. 2 cups. Just enough for this, for a smaller group. For the 2 of us. I love gravy. If there was more people, I would add a full container.
Yeah, we won't need as much. Just us.
So I have to cook that flour the rest of the way through, so I'm going to bring it up to a boil. That's also going to allow it to kind of thicken up, because it's pretty runny right now, which is fine. It's going to cook down as it boils. That's got a nice color.
Oh, baby said good. I don't know if you can hear that. Good.
So you can see right now it's pretty runny, which is fine. It's going to cook down, but it has the appropriate
A
color.
nice color. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you show everybody the stuffing
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
or the dressing?
Read.
I have to learn how to use the right term for that.
Ooh, this looks good. Did you taste it already?
I did.
Can we get a taste? There's a dressing. Oh my gosh, it smells amazing.
Yeah. So again, it's super easy just because you're using a box to start. So I used 3 packages of the stovetop stuffing. I used 1 package of chicken chorizo. I used 2 small packages of baby bella mushrooms and 1 small shallot. And a little bit of butter, some stock, and some water, and that's it. And it really comes together quickly, and that's a nice big side. And let me tell you, if you are hosting a lot of people, a different year, you could make a big batch of this, and you could do it the night before, and you could put it in like a nice big aluminum serving tray, and it'd be great and good to go. So our sides are all pretty much prepared, just our potatoes.
Yeah.
are what we need, and then our
We could rock
Thanksgiving
right now.
feast is ready to go. So we're gonna show you how to make the potatoes.
So we have our potatoes already boiled. Remember, we put them in cold water, then brought it up to a boil. About 20 minutes. You know, just if they're going to break apart nicely. All right. Do a little salt and pepper, and then I'll add in the butter and the milk. Cook it up and mash it down.
Yes, and don't overwork your potatoes. Big tip. A lot of people try to really, really make them super, super smooth, but the more you mess with them, the more you break them apart, they become gummy, and you don't want that to happen. So we're big fans of just using like a hand masher and getting them ready to go.
All right. Milk. See where you're ready.
Yeah.
Parmesan cheese. If you have an actual
Real parm.
slice of parm,
You can throw that in.
you throw the rind in, and
Mhm.
adds an extra salty brininess to it.
Definitely. So with these potatoes, we used little tiny Yukon Golds, boiled them up. They were cut in half, we boiled them up. They're in there right now, and then we're going to start just adding some milk. And we'll show you what this beautiful head of garlic looks like that has been roasting in our oven the whole time we've been cooking. It takes a little while to roast, so kind of the longer, the better, the softer it gets. And we're just going to be able to kind of squeeze it right out of that aluminum package, and it will become like a nice little yummy, sweeter garlicky paste. Very delicious.
Actually, my gravy is
A little watery?
a little loose. Yeah, so I'm going to add water and flour, mix that up into a paste.
A pseudo roux.
Pseudo roux. But this is how you're always going to thicken any sauce. Flour.
And look at this. We've been streaming for like an hour and a half, and we have almost a full Thanksgiving dinner ready to go in an hour and a half, basically. I mean, minus the turkey because we did start that early. But that actually was the easiest part.
Yeah. The turkey, once it's seasoned, I mean,
You just throw it in the oven.
you could be basting like crazy.
Yeah.
I just stuffed it with some butter. Alright, so I got my roux mixture. It's going to be almost paste-like. I'm just going to add that into my gravy. Bring that up to a simmer. It's good. What's that? Alright. Alright. Some milk. How much am I doing milk? 1 or 2?
Yeah, usually about one to start with. I am going to have to excuse myself with baby and get him ready for bed. I will bring up my phone to kind of man the chat as I'm feeding him.
Yeah.
And he's going to show you how to make potatoes. So, happy holiday to anybody who's celebrating tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you again soon.
Alright, so now I'm on. I actually don't usually make the mashed potatoes. That's usually Sally's deal. So I'm just going to put this turkey back in here. I'll show you these mashed potatoes. So I have my salt, my pepper, Parmesan cheese. Added my cup of milk. I'm going to get my hand masher. Great handy dandy tool. I don't even need this overheat because the potatoes are already heated through. They're just going to break right out. This gravy is starting to get there. I'm preoccupied with gravy because I think it's the most important part. All right, our garlic. So when I open this up, you're going to see how nicely roasted it is. A roasted garlic is going to absolutely change the flavor of it. It's actually almost liquid-like. It's a little bit sweeter. It really takes that bite of garlic out. If you don't like garlic, try roasted garlic. It's going to be delicious. So I'm just going to simply palm it in my hand. It's been out of the oven for a little bit, so it's cooler. Turn it upside down, and I'm going to squeeze the garlic. You'll see it's just going to start to pop right out. As you squeeze the garlic, it's going to come out like in a paste. I'm going to squeeze this garlic right in the mashed potatoes. Grab myself a spoon. Once I squeeze one way, I'm going to come back across the opposite. And there goes all that garlic goodness. Just want to squeeze it out. We have this beautiful garlic paste. Oh, it smells just wonderful. The other good thing about this is none of it gets in your hands if you use the tinfoil wisely. I'm being slightly aggressive because I don't want to miss any of that garlic goodness. You can also scoop it out the excess with a spoon. And the last little bits of garlic coming on out. There we go. My gravy is thickening up. Makes me very happy. A little happy dance there. Just continue to let that simmer. So I have potatoes, salt, pepper, a little Parmesan cheese, 1 cup of milk, and I'm just going to start mashing. This is really all it takes, is a little TLC with the mashing. And then I'm going to bring it up over some heat, just a medium heat, just to let it cook through. But I don't want to give it too much of a mash. So after I mash, then I'm going to heat and just let it cook up a bit. That's it. I like it a little rough. Yes, you could have whipped potatoes, but you're at danger of them getting too gummy. I don't like a gummy potato. I don't mind a little bit more of a rustic, true mashed potato, not a whipped potato. That's why it's called mashed and not whipped. You're more than welcome to whip if that's your deal. Just not mine. Oh my gosh. I didn't add butter. How could I not add butter? Well, that's just silly. We're going to add Thanksgiving. The diet starts in January. We're going to add 4 tablespoons of butter. 4. Makes me laugh as I say it. I'm going to stir my gravy out. It's coming out. Beautiful color. Nice texture. Still a touch runny, but I'm going to let it simmer down now. The butter, I'm just going to give a little mix into it. And I'm just going to throw it on low, just to let that butter melt. I'm done mashing at this point. So I'm done mashing at this point. I'm only going to stir. So on low, just a little bit of a stir. The rest of this I can clean up. Grab a spoon to stir up the taters. And I just want a little bit of heat to melt that butter. I'm going to do my favorite thing next, which is taste these potatoes. It's nice. Use a touch more salt. It's nice in the garlic. It's very mild. So for salt, instead of actually adding salt, I'm going to go with a little more Parmesan Reggiano. This is grated Pecorino Romano. It's actually Lacatelli. My favorite Parmesan cheese, my dad's favorite. Adds a nice bit of brininess to it. It's just a wonderful, wonderful Parmesan. And that's really going to make these potatoes a little bit cheesier, but also give it a little bit more salt. That's going to be a winner Thanksgiving potato dinner. Maybe I'll even make a plate just for show. I don't know if the chat to know if that's it. We'll go. Gravy's still a bit runny. I'm going to show you. So here's my gravy. It's still a bit too runny for me. So, very simple. It's too runny. We're going to add a little bit more flour water mixture. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of water. 2 tablespoons of flour. Always in equal parts and little bits at a time, because I could always add more. I can't take it away. Spoon. 1 tablespoon of flour, 2 tablespoons of flour. Stir this up nicely together. It gets to a nice, tasty consistency. I just want to give it a very nice stir. And it's cool work. Cool to cool. Just tap cool. I want to get it to a nice paste, almost think glue when you were a kid. The big jug of glue, not like the little stick of glue, but the big jug of Elmer's. So I'm mixing this up. I'm pressing along the sides with my spoon to get out any lumps. This is syrupy, pasty. It's actually could be a touch thicker, so I'm going to add a touch more flour. Like I said, this gravy was a little too loose, so I just want to tighten it up a bit. There we go. And again, if you're adding flour is uncooked, so I'm going to have to make sure I bring my gravy up to a boil and reduce to a simmer, which will be no problem because I need that to happen to thicken it up. And there you can see this is a much better consistency than my first go around. More of a paste. Pasty, almost like pancake batter. So I added that in nice and slowly. Just going to stir it in vigorously. And I can see it tightening up already. Add my last little bit of this. Let's bring this up to a simmer. Oh yeah, it's tightening up. Looking good, looking good. Has a beautiful color. It's over to show you. So you really have that true Thanksgiving gravy color, just we don't quite have the consistency yet. But this last bit of flour, once it comes up to a boil and then down to a simmer, should get the right consistency. Potatoes are now good. Perfect. They're nice and mild. They're actually not too salty because we use the Pecorino Romano cheese as opposed to overly salting it. And the garlic of them is very mild. It's not overpowering at all. So this is coming up to a boil. And you know it's coming to a boil because it's starting to bubble along the edges. And now I'm going to bring it down to a simmer. I'm going to let it simmer for about 5 minutes. In the meantime, I might make a plate because I think that would be a nice touch. So you can see what a plate of Thanksgiving will look like for you tomorrow. All right. Get myself slightly more clean and organized here. I really hate not cleaning my station, if you will, as I go, so I've let it get away from me, which is bothersome. All right. Get one of our good plates. Get ourselves ready. All right. I'm going to start by cutting the turkey. I do have a fancy serrated cutting knife for this, but since it's only turkey breast, I'm not going to need that. Sorry, Babs. All right. Turkey. So when you're cutting the turkey, there's going to be a bone running through the center of it. Delicious. So you're just going to want to find that bone. You're going to want to cut right along it. There we go. Cutting all the way down. Turn it. Cut on the other side. A nice sharp knife. Following it right down along the bone. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be all right. This is massive breast. Give it a try. See if the gravy's any good. That's nice. That's nice. So I'm actually going to leave the rest of it together. I can go back for seconds. So at this point, if I was putting out a full Thanksgiving dinner, once I have this breast like this, if I'm slicing long ways, I'm going to be able to give each person a little bit of skin along with the meat, which is ideal for your slices. It's key that it's rested. I've actually had it resting for a while. You can actually see that it's still quite juicy inside, and you can see the juices running out. If I was to cut this turkey immediately after it comes out of the oven, this has actually been quite a bit since it's been out, but all the juice would run right out. So since we're making a small plate here, I'm just going to take, it's still juicy. That's what you want. I'm just going to take a couple pieces and place that on here. It's my favorite part of our dinner is done. I love the plating. Mashed potatoes, I'm going to leave nice and rustic. Just a nice big old portion. Put some height to them. Grab a couple of carrots. Gravy is thickening up. Dig it. So grab a little bit of the stuffing. Couple sprouts. And a couple carrots. Of course, I'm just grabbing this with my hands because I'm going to be eating it later. Although Sally said we already ate, there's a very good chance I eat some of this plate right now. I'm going to place my carrots down there, got my mash. And then normally I would put gravy all over the top of everything, but in this case I'm going to keep it classy. Give myself a nice little ramekin. You can't even see this plate yet, which is going to add to my reveal. Turkey came out amazing. Very pleased with it. Far easier than roasting a whole turkey as well. The majority of people, all they actually want is the turkey breast. They want a little bit of white meat. I know my mom's a huge fan of the dark meat. She loves the turkey leg. A nice little ramekin of gravy, just for the aesthetics. And say magnifique. That is a good looking plate of Thanksgiving dinner. I'm trying to make it just right because I'm a little OCD with this. There we have it. Thanksgiving dinner is done. We have a nice turkey, just a turkey breast, nicely sliced, so you're getting a little bit of skin as well as the breast itself. Our Yukon Gold mashed potatoes, you can even see that they're golden in color. The skin adds a nice bite of texture. We roasted that garlic in there, so it tastes a little bit. So it's a mild garlickiness, and the Parmesan cheese adds a bite of saltiness and a bite of cheesiness, but not too over the top. Milk, you could use heavy cream. Everything else is heavy enough. Milk's going to get you there, and maybe you save a belt loop. Brussels sprouts, we air fried them, so you might be able to hear that crisp. If you just oven roast them, it's totally going to work for you. Olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic, and paprika gives them that golden color. You will get this golden color roasting them as well. Sally's dressing, mushroom and chicken chorizo. You could use real chorizo. That's on you. That's really nice. Carrots. My dad's recipe with a twist. Olive oil, salt, pepper, cinnamon, garlic, a little olive oil. Toss that up. A little crushed red pepper. Finish it off with a little maple syrup. You get that sweetness. It's not quite a candied yam, or the yams with the marshmallows on top, which always ends up being more marshmallow. But you're going to get that sweet bite. And finally, our gravy, which has gotten to the consistency that I want, and the flavor. I'm very, very happy about the gravy. I feel like the gravy is the most important part. That was 2 cups to start. It's definitely reduced down. It is a bit chunky right now because there is the onions or the shallots rather, and the garlic. So if I wanted to, I could just strain this out, just using any strainer. We have a mesh strainer that we use for everything. So if I was to strain that out before serving, I'd be able to get rid of all those little bits. You generally want to have a pure, unlumpy gravy. Lumps don't show a lack of technical proficiency, which mine isn't technically proficient. But it tastes good. That's really all I care about. So there we go. It's Thanksgiving dinner. It is done. I hope you all have a lovely Thanksgiving, that it's healthy, it's happy, be safe. We are not doing Thanksgiving. We're doing doggy bags to go to keep everybody healthy. So scary times, but if we push through right now, even those people overseas, I don't know if you do Thanksgiving, but maybe you get together for a meal. Keep your distance. Don't burst your bubble. It's really scary right now. So instead of getting all doom and gloom, have yourself a nice meal, have a nice Zoom call, and stuff your face. Watch some football. All right, that's it. I don't know if there's any questions in the chat because I don't have my phone. Sally's got it. The baby sounds fussy, so I'm going to start cleaning up so we can start settling in for the night. Wish you a happy and healthy Thanksgiving to you and yours. Later. Ciao.